This is the all-new, first ever 2022 Kia Carnival. It is a minivan that from about here forward looks an awful lot like an SUV. The question is, how good of a minivan is it? And more importantly, is it good enough to steal customers away from the traditional minivan big three? Let's find out. Minivans are hard, and I'm talking about making them. Think about it. It has to be incredibly functional, yet incredibly safe. And almost every single body panel has to open up in a rather severe way. The minivan has to handle the same whether there's just one person behind the steering wheel or you're hauling a family of 8. I've had a number of automotive engineers tell me that it's a lot easier to build a great supercar than it is to build a great minivan. And that's why traditionally there have only been 3. Yeah, sure, every once in a while there's a Nissan, and Kia used to make the Sedona, but the market is defined by the Chrysler Pacifica, the Honda Odyssey, and the Toyota Sienna. Kia has been on the outside looking in, thinking to themselves, what can we do to be different? How can we stand out? Meet the Carnival. Kia's design team has been on a tear over the last few years, and the Carnival is no different. I mentioned before, it looks like an SUV. Hey, guess what? People buy SUVs, so that's a good thing. But then it's also just so different. I mean, first of all, look at this grille. This is a concave grille. I'm not sure I've ever seen that. I know I've never seen it on a minivan, yet somehow here it works. Lots of bright work, it looks very premium. I think if you kind of focus in on some of the details, they're a bit much, but the 50-foot view, this is a handsome minivan, and that's a sentence I don't think anyone has ever said. Coming back down the side of the thing, black wheels always look good. The greenhouse is rather traditional for having such an avant-garde front end, but it works. Now, what's the real problem with minivans design-wise? Well, if you have a sliding door, you have this groove right here, right? And it just looks like a giant panel gap. There's nothing you can actually do about it, but you can distract the eye. Put a giant, shiny metal piece right here, and it blings your vision to that rather than to this line. Coming out back, this is actually the most premium looking part of the Carnival, but what I really like are the fonts. I love the redesigned Kia logo, it totally works. And then having Carnival in cursive, it's a tiny, simple little thing. The Italians used to do it all the time, but what it really is good design. I don't know if you've sat in a lot of minivans lately. I have, and let me assure you, this interior is fantastic. And I don't just mean on its own, I mean in comparison to the rest of the segment. Minivan interiors are typically awash in cheap plastics, bad leather, no design whatsoever. The Carnival is the opposite. There's just a little tiny bit of textured rubber right here, very little. Everything else is covered in leather, covered in metal, beautiful design work. And then you get to these seats. Look at these things, just unbelievable they were able to sneak this into a minivan. And then let me show you my favorite minivan feature. If you're a parent, you've been here. You have a kid strapped into that seat right there and they're kicking the back of it. Watch this. You just hit these controls right here. Seat mounted controls that move the seat forward. It's game changing. You know, this touchscreen right here, it's high quality. It's from a more expensive segment. It's bold, it's bright, it works. And I know it's a gimmick, but displaying the radio station inside of vacuum tubes, if you're a music geek, if you're an audiophile, it's just the coolest thing in the world. So from where I'm sitting, this interior is fantastic. But what about the rest of the Carnival? Yes, it's pretty nice back here too. Look, I'm in my second row captain's chair. I'm fully reclined. The footrest is up. It's the same high quality seats and leather that you'd find up front. Minivan enthusiasts, and those people do exist, they're gonna say things like, oh, the seats don't fold flat into the floor, not enough cup holders, and all this other nonsense, but forget about them. Just look at me right now. I mean, this is fantastic. Plus, 2 screens, not all minivans have 2 screens, 2 screens, Netflix, Twitch. You know what other car has Netflix and Twitch? A Tesla. The Carnival is king. up until this point, I've been very complimentary about the Carnival. However, performance. Okay, look, under the hood, 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, it makes 290 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. Those are pretty good numbers. It's the most horsepower in its class. It's tied for most torque. However, the Kia is very heavy. It's front-wheel drive only, so the acceleration numbers aren't so good. I know no one's really drag racing a minivan, but the Pacifica and the Sienna are both available as all-wheel drive. And if you live where it snows, that is a top-of-mind purchase consideration. The real problem though when it comes to performance is the ride and handling. It doesn't just affect the Carnival, it kind of plagues Kia as an automaker. It just doesn't ride that well. Once they figure out how to do that, and believe me, they will, everybody should look out. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, the Carnival is decidedly average. 19 miles per gallon around town and 26 miles per gallon on the highway. Safety, guess what? It comes standard with almost every single automatic safety feature on the market, including lane keeping assist and lane centering. Value is where the Carnival absolutely kills it. The base price of this thing is just over $33,000, which is pretty competitive with what the other minivan makers are up to. However, this is the Carnival SX Prestige, and it costs a bit more than $47,000. To get a comparably equipped Honda Odyssey, you're talking nearly $49,000, and the Chrysler and the Toyota are well over $50,000. Think back to this thing's interior. We're not sure how Kia does it, but they do. If there's one thing I want you to know about the brand new 2022 Kia Carnival, it's that it is almost cool, and I mean almost. Look, the late great fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld said, if you wear sweatpants, it means you've given up, and honestly, that's how I feel about minivans. However, you look at the design and the style of this thing, both inside and out, and it's almost enough to turn a minivan skeptic like me completely around. And then when you factor in the value proposition, if you really do need a minivan, there are very few reasons not to pick the Kia Carnival. To see vehicle rankings and a complete buyer's guide, please visit motortrend.com/cars.